We are back as the anticipation around the yen carry trade begins to grow. We'll be discussing that, the latest in tariffs, what's going on in the markets, and much more today on Money Never Sleeps.
Howdy.
There we go. Jesus. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. As we get going, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Remember, nothing we say is financial advice, so please do your own research. Kev, happy Monday. How are we feeling as we kick off the last day of the quarter and another exciting week in 2025?
Yeah, we got Liberation Day coming up on Wednesday. I'm assuming this is going to be, he's going to make it a national holiday too. That's going to be the best part. But yeah, we got tariffs scaring everything up all across the world. I saw something today, actually Chris sent it to me, where South Korea and Japan are both doing the tariffs back at the US, siding with China on this one, which is absolutely wild. We're in the pretty much the perfect storm for something to go wrong right now. I'm excited as can be. I texted you in house yesterday about what's going on in Japan. I was like, August 2024, coming right back. I didn't think it was going to be today. I still think it's going to be next week, April 7th, but I think that this is going to be such a scary 2 weeks for people who are just uncertain in this market.
Yeah, it's, we've gotten a lot of concerning data over the last just few days. I mean, we've seen the chart going around of delinquencies on mortgages right now, like the number, 6 million plus homeowners are behind on their mortgage payments, 11% delinquency rate. Seeing reports from some more, we've talked a lot about the struggles of the middle class, the middle upper class part of it too. And, we're seeing some of these retailers finally admitting that there is problems with demand and that their sales are not going to grow year over year and that the consumer is struggling. Something that we've been harping on for a while is beginning to come to fruition. So I think that it's a really good time if you haven't already. And if you've been watching this show for a while, first off, thank you. Second, if you're still not out there trying to stack cash and you're not living below your means and you're not looking to accumulate assets to grow your wealth in the future, then you completely missed the point of what we've been talking about for the last year and a half, 2 years. Like, that has been one of, I know we talk about it over and over again, but it's because I truly believe it's that important right now to not live over your means, get cash on hand, accumulate assets, because a lot of people are going to be selling their assets here just because they have to at a bad time to do so, just to cover bills and just to survive. And if you can be in a situation where you're doing the opposite, when people are panicking, you're able to use the cash that you've accumulated to buy those assets on the cheap. In a few years, you're going to be really happy that you did. So I think it's just, once again, strap in, make better decisions, manage your money properly, and everything will work out okay. But if you're still not doing that, then I don't even know what, you're probably not even watching this show if that's the case.
Yeah, you're probably just watching and be like, Kevin and Jweb are so fucking dumb. Bitcoin went up to 115K. Yeah, sorry guys. That's my bad. That's not.
Although,
yeah, exactly. I agree.
I will say, Jim Cramer stated just recently on CNBC, I can't think of a dumber day to buy stocks than today. So,
well, he called the bottom.
Maybe we just buy.
Let's put it this way. I knew that today we wouldn't get what happened in August 5th of 2024 because we didn't see the yen move at all. The Nikkei is pulling back, right? Obviously, that's problematic. It's going to happen once the tariffs kick in. And everyone keeps saying it's the tariffs that are causing it. It's not. It's the banks. we're in such a period of low liquidity right now, and this goes from everyone from top institutional banks to just middle class, even lower class, working class individuals. There's no money out there. I'm sorry to say that, but we look back, and I talked about this back in March and maybe late February, but this year is going to suck so bad for the equity markets because when we look at happened during the pandemic, rates and you can get loans pretty much 0%, cheap as can be, right? And a lot of those people took out 5-year loans. So if they took out 5-year loans, when did they take them out? March, right after the pandemic when it was zero, April, right? And then more so when the market started picking up in September of 2021. So you kind of have this period where a lot of people have a lot of debt that's coming due, and we're at a liquidity shortage where there's not a lot of cash on hand. So what are they going to do? They're going to sell off assets nonstop in the equity markets, right? I know everyone's going into gold. I'm telling you right now, if something breaks in this market, there's 2 banks actually that could break in the next 2 months or so. If something happens and we get an emergency rate cut, gold is going to see the same outflows as we've seen with the equity market since Trump's got into office, right? So this is a very scary point right now. Liquidity is absolutely low. You have no BTFP. You have no nothing. You absolutely need some Hail Mary type of soft QE that can kind of quell the markets for a few months before they probably see more of a sell off again because people don't have that money to pay off that debt. And it's the institutions that fucked up the trade. It really is. It was free money. And now they have to pay it back. And it's like, oh, well, if we need to pay it back, then we need the markets to go up a little bit. So you're probably going to see some type of rate cut. I genuinely believe that we will see that. And to go along with what we put in the tweet today, yes, I think that we are going to get a recession announcement fairly soon. I think something's going to happen, and then they're just going to say, yeah, we're going to try and, ease off here. And it might be just a light recession, and we're going to still get a soft landing. It's not the case. It's probably not going to be the case. But that's just my little rant. It's important to keep that in mind, though, too, because when you see these markets rallying like they are today, barely, there's a reason why it's not going up higher. There's no liquidity in this market.
Yeah, we have it's a jobs heavy week as far as data goes. We get the JOLTS report tomorrow, so the job openings, private sector employment on Wednesday, and then on Friday, the employment report, hourly wages, all that important stuff. And Jerome Powell is speaking with a few other Fed governors as well. So Friday could be, if we get a JOLTS number tomorrow that shows that, job openings are starting to decrease.
They should.
And we see an employment report that comes in poorly on Friday, then we could definitely see a spot where the market begins to panic a bit more because we're getting that indication that maybe a recession is imminent. What else do you want to talk about right now? I mean, we're seeing crypto kind of just farting around. Like, it's green on the daily after 5 straight, 6 straight losing days. A lot of stuff moving into the oversold area, but that doesn't mean it's going to bounce back immediately. On the equity front, we're seeing tech continuing to take a hit. Nvidia was down significantly to start the day. It's rallied a bit, but it was down as low as 104-ish. Big gap down to start the day. I mean, it looked like it was going to approach 100. Seeing Tesla give back some gains, seeing Amazon, like if you just zoom out on this Amazon chart, it's just been farting around and putzing around here for a while. Like it made a nice little run up after the election, but we're right back to where it has been for years now. So at some point, like, I don't know, maybe it breaks back to the upside. I'm not one who tends to believe Trump with some of the stuff that he's saying right now, but where do you feel like the direction is going? I know OPEX is going to be an important day. The 7th is an important day in your opinion, but anything else really on that front that you think is worth mentioning?
Yeah, we got to go to Japan. We got to talk about the yen carry trade because a lot of the things that are going on with tradfi right now in the U.S., we're starting to see the rumblings of it. That just makes it worse for Japan. This is the yen carry trade. When it was coming out, we were calling it in late June, July, that entire month. I was actually going back through some of our videos last night. I was like, yeah, we talked about it probably like 8 or 9 times going into that August 5th. Happened. Obviously, it was very fast. Wasn't long lived. And they said, oh yeah, about 70% of it's unwound. Yes, but then what happened with the yen right after? Yeah,
I'll be right back. Keep
you're
going.
good. So after the yen carry trade got unwound, they said it was 70%. They started freaking re-leveraging. They started getting back into the trades, and it was a super leveraged trade, and it's got us through the election, all-time highs in the equity markets in both the U.S. and the not necessarily the Nikkei, but other markets as well. And now we're at a place where it's starting to break back below key levels, and you see this. You broke above it. You found this trend line, and then once you broke out of this trend line, you were just trading sideways, not necessarily above it. You should have probably went up higher here. You're putting in a bear flag, and eventually this broke down. You got a bounce. You went right through it. This was the level. You can go on Twitter. We talked about it. We tweeted out that 36,830 was a huge level. You didn't even stand a chance this time when it retested. It went right below it. Now, do I think it's going to bounce around here? It has the ability to, but I think the Nikkei is probably going to be seeing something very similar to April of 1990. Again, probably going to fill some gaps that are all the way down there. Maybe not today, but over maybe a 5 to 10 year period, very possible. Now we look at what's going on with the yen carry trade. This thing's being a little bit of a bitch, if you ask me. You broke below it. Now you're above it. You're trading above it. And last night you started getting a little bit dicey, coming below it a little bit. Like I said, there is some problems with that bank, Norashukin. They're trying to raise as much capital as they possibly can. It's never good when an institutional bank is trying to raise capital in the middle of nowhere. It probably tells you that there's some solvency issues. Now, say the yen absolutely just gets obliterated here. At least the trade gets obliterated and the yen starts getting stronger, then their solvency issues are just going to be tenfold. It's going to be nonstop. And I think that's what the BOJ is kind of trying to prevent here. They're trying to make sure that the yen doesn't go below this. They don't want to see rapid secession like they did in July, to where it got down to like 140. I think it even got as low as 139. You don't want to see that in 3 trading days. That's absolutely the unwind 100%, especially if we start getting a lot of rebalancing of policy from these tariffs. You have a perfect storm. So that's something that we have to keep an eye on. The other thing that's really important, and this is the American side of the trade, is what's going on with NVIDIA. NVIDIA and ARM, and I think CoreWeave, that's the new stock that IPO'd recently, right? Not necessarily doing great. I haven't been keeping up with it too much, but those are all heavy yen carry trade stocks. Again, CoreWeave more so because of NVIDIA, but NVIDIA went all the way down to 104, you said? I think I saw it as low as 103, 103.75. That's where I saw it. And, the more that this goes down and the yen gets stronger, then everyone that was moving all that money over from Japan into the U.S. market, into the Mag 7, well, they're losing money now. And imagine if the Bank of Japan raises rates. Then it's like, we not only fucked up the trade, we fucked up the trade worse than we did last time. And that was only, 6 months ago? So this is going to be a very fun time to see what happens if NVIDIA starts to continue. It is losing key levels of support, right? I mean, it lost the 10, what is this? What level is this? 105.56. That was a key level. It's probably going to come down and test 96 at some point. How fast? Who knows? 82 or so. That's still a possibility. Now we look at something like ARM, which is SoftBank. Again, another wonderful institution over in Japan that's probably eating some massive shit. You're pretty much retraced all these gains that you had in all of 2024, right? You are about to break down and fill this gap. This gap is at 77. So imagine the market just absolutely drops down, fills that gap. That's a 26% drop on top of the yen carry trade, NVIDIA. I mean, Japan's just losing money left and right. This is a perfect storm for liquidity to just absolutely evaporate from the entire global market. So as they scramble to find yen to pay back some of that debt, you're going to see a lot of other things just get really out of whack. So this one, let's just look up CoreWeave. I honestly have not been keeping up with it. Yeah, it's only been out for a few days. Let's go to the 30-minute chart to see how it's looking. Yeah, this doesn't help either, right? The IPOs, next thing you know, it's gaps down straight. Like these are 3 bad stocks. These are absolutely terrible right now for the Japanese markets. Yen's probably going to continue to get stronger. And then when it does break, I think the yen will get weak over a decade or so. But I think there's one last push to that 140 level. And that's probably going to be what breaks the market, or breaks the market to the point where there is some type of intervention on central bankers' parts, not just in Japan, but also in the US. So that's the yen carry trade. We're keeping an eye on that. It's also kind of correlating with what's going on in the VIX. Let me just get out of here. Volatility is being dampened. We had a breakout today, and then look right back into the triangle. It's going to break out at some point. The question is when, right? I think we're going to be safe until at least Monday. The 7th is going to be a very interesting day. But this is saying that we're going to break out May 5th. I think we're going to break out before that, just my opinion, not financial advice. But volatility is continuing to be dampened at this point. They're compressing it. They're crushing it as much as they can. They're not going to be able to one time, right? Like we saw on August 5th, that was a 60. VIX went to 64 that day, 65 almost. And nothing broke. Imagine when something does break. So just some things to keep in mind. Interesting stuff that's going on across the board. But yeah, I think that's pretty much what covers the carry trade and a lot of the stuff that's going on in the U.S. markets that we have to keep an eye on as we get to this huge Liberation Day speech on the Rose Garden, which is coming Wednesday. I expect volatility to be having a blast that day.
What time is that? Is he doing that?
It's probably like noon or like 1 or 2 or something like that. Okay. I'll look it up. I'm sure it's going to be hilarious. It's going to be tariff this, tariff that, tariff top. It's his new nickname.
All right. What else do we think is worth mentioning right now? I mean, nothing too crazy is happening today. We got the jobs data, like I said. Do you want to go look at a couple crypto charts?
Yeah, let's do fun stuff. Let's do crypto and let's do memes at this point. I mean, I honestly think that's the best place to put your money right now. Not financial advice, memes, but we'll look at the stuff because I think there is some very easy price action to follow. Let's start with crypto and then we'll finish with like GameStop and the other one. But what's going on in crypto is exactly what you and I talked about last week. I think we called this perfectly. You pointed out this trend line. I was like, oh, yeah, let's move it there. Just trading within it, guys. It's very, I'm not even sharing my screen. I'm being an asshole. There we go. Yeah, that you called out that trend line on the top. We move this line and we look at this and there we go. Just trading within this range. Look what's here at the end of this. April 6th, April 7th. Make or break. There's a lot of charts that are like that are all pointing towards April 6th, April 7th. It's kind of funny. But yeah, this one is probably going to just trade really coiled, really tight the next few days, unless you get something that just breaks it out. And I do think that crypto has the ability to break out before TradFi, obviously because it's trading 24/7. So if Bitcoin decides to puke, say April 2nd or April 3rd or April 4th or something like that, kind of a hint at what we could expect in the week following. But yeah, this is pretty much where we're heading. I did see ETH recently. And again, we're only talking about Bitcoin just breaking out of this channel. Obviously, I think it's going to break out to the downside. Could it go to the upside first? Yeah, but it's more likely that broader market conditions are going to pull this down a little bit more. We're in a bear market. I don't care what anyone says. Trump brought the bear in when he was elected. Let's pull up ETH. ETH, I think, went to like 1,700 at some point. Let me see if I can find it. Recently, yeah, it was the past few days. It was trading under 1,700. Good day today. Eric Trump must have tweeted something. But yeah, your $1,700 ETH. That's insane, guys. Like, look how much this thing is.
What a turd! What a turd! Like,
I'll be buying at 200. Don't get me wrong. I'll buy $20,000 worth of ETH at $200 a share. All right, $200 a coin. But the fact that it might go to $200 is also concerning, is it not? I think this is just, it's sad to see what happened to ETH. It's fallen so much. There's been no news, no talk of it. It's just been absolute dog shit. And that being said, it's the same exact chart that we see with Total 2, right? It's the exact same. Total 3.
The question I have, Kevin, is do I swap all of my ETH for Sol and then just put that all into Fartcoin?
We got to look at Fartcoin.
We're going to have to look at Fartcoin. Let's
see what Sol is doing real quick first, though. Yeah, see, all these are doing.
Sol sucks too.
Yeah, none of them are doing great right now. And again, when I'm looking at Sol, this is a massive parallel channel that is going to break down. We're probably going to see like $22 Sol at some point. Not today, but I think at some point we are going to get pretty close to that $7 range that we got to. But since we put in a new high, it's most likely going to be that $22 range where it traded for a while. Again, I'll probably be a buyer at that point as well. What is Fart Coin? Just Fart Coin? Like that's the actual ticker?
Yeah.
All right, let's pull this up on. Do we like Binance or do we like? Let's just pull up Bybit. I think that one's not horrible. I don't know what to tell you, Jweb. I mean, this is cup and handle maybe coming. I have no idea, but maybe if we want to be super bullish about it, here's the cup. Wait for the handle and then explosions to the upside.
Yep, it's happening.
Maybe. You know what? I wouldn't be opposed to being stupid here and throwing a little bit. I don't have I'm not playing with crypto. Obviously, this last year was the first year I didn't touch crypto the entire year, so it was very easy to file taxes. But
hot air rises, man. Fart Coin, 5 billion market cap incoming.
Let's see if I could find. I think it's here.
Fart Coin is inevitable.
Let's do this. Make us happy. Let's get this here. And then give it another one. That's what we want to see, guys. We want to see this fill over here. If it fills over here, then obviously I would be bullish. That's literally a cup and handle, especially since the fact that it came down here, bounced from here, and then started forming the cup. This is basic technical analysis, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing something stupid like this take off. And again, I do think that when we get this last crash in the tradfi before summer starts, that you're not going to see necessarily the behemoths in the market take off. It's not going to be Nvidia. It's not going to be Tesla. It's not going to be Apple. It's not going to be Microsoft. It's going to be the small caps that have low market caps that can produce high liquidity out of nowhere just by pumping a little bit of money into it and a lot of buying it at the right time. And it's probably going to be the memes. It's going to be the farewell so long. Next thing you know, it's September and all that debt comes due. And, Fart Coin's at $20 a coin. And,
Let's go.
Am I joking? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. I mean, what's the market cap on this thing? I don't have it here.
450 million, roughly.
Yeah. I mean, I kid you not, something stupid could happen like that. I'm not saying it will, but at least, above $1 if it breaks out of this cup and handle. Yeah, absolutely. Decisions, guys, decisions. Outside of that, let's pull up GameStop and we could wrap it up because I think this is the most important stock, the best stock trading on the stock market today, not financial advice. But the fact that everyone's short interest on this thing and it continues to beat earnings, have cash on hand, they're just fucked. Like that's the only thing I could say when you look at something like this. Like Nvidia doesn't even have the type of earnings that GameStop has in terms of actual vendor financing. So when we pull this up here, obviously a lot of shit's going on. You're not going to want to look at it like that, but we were in this wedge. We broke to the downside. I think this is a bit of a fake out and we're getting as a double bottom as well. The question is, are we done putting in this bottom in GameStop? The answer is, I don't know. We could push down to 1828. We could push down to this $20 level. However, us finding kind of a few wicks down at this level tells me that this curve, this arc is a bit of support. And when I look at this in the way that it's touched these other points in the past, and again, this is just using the algos, what their computers are probably trading on. It's like once it gets to a certain level, buy. We look where this breaks out. It breaks out back in May. What came out in May of last year? Roaring Kitty starting to tweet like crazy. And that's when GameStop broke out to like $68 a share. But now we know that UBS is in a lot of pain, low liquidity from the yen carry trade. A lot of those contracts that they took over from Credit Suisse, that's just bad debt that they have on their books. There is a good chance that we could see this squeeze pretty hard. And again, we got some gaps to the upside here and over here. And I actually think we have a few gaps over here as well. We got a gap right here around $48 or so. So this is going to be an interesting one to watch. Again, this could be a cup and handle right here, right? As long as we don't go lower than that bottom of that cup, we're doing pretty good. I mean, if it gets to $33 by May or so, then you could see explosions once again in May. It could happen even earlier. We know that Roaring Kitty continues to allude to 420, which is probably 417 OPEX, which is, I think, the Good Friday OPEX, if I'm not mistaken, right around Easter. So we'd have no trading that Friday, but you might see a lot of pressure put on institutions. And if they aren't able to, deliver some of those shares if people exercise them, then they're going to have to buy them back at a premium. What happens if something that has, 38 times short interest to what it's currently trading at, current shares that are available to trade at, and no one's selling, then you're probably going to see a massive squeeze. We also know tomorrow the buyer of the convertible bonds will be announced, and that deal should be all the way through. So I think that's where we're seeing a bit of the bullish moves today, while everything else is kind of chop. The other one I do want to pull up is another meme play. It's FFAI. I continue to talk about this. And the reason I talk about it is because I think these are just such stupid plays that make so much sense that, if someone is in a lot of pain, these things are going to take off. Same thing with what happened in GameStop in May of 2024. This thing took off. Started charting it a little bit today, and I'm using these curves. It hit pretty low. I think it hit as low as 107. But the question is, why does this thing close on April 16th, April 17th for the climax? Right? I shouldn't say the climax, the apex. Climax, something different. The apex right here is April 16th, April 17th. That's OPEX once again. These dates continue to pop up in these charts because they are pointing at something coming. I don't know what it is, right? We don't know if it's a black swan. We don't know if it's just price compression leading up to something where it's going to have to be make or break. But when I look at this and I see that this thing is heavily compressed, and in the past, we theorized that UBS has been using this as part of a basket of stocks that hedge GameStop's movements to the upside, so they don't have unlimited losses. They have some type of way to hedge against those losses. If that's the case, then what I think here is they're selling off to hopefully buy more, and they're buying more at this lower level because they anticipate that there is going to be some type of drastic move in volatility for GameStop. This is so stupid. I can't believe I'm such a GameStop maxi, but this makes so much sense when you see what happened in May of 2024. Obviously, this thing was trading a lot higher, even in August, right? August, it went all the way to $11 after trading at a low previous to that at $2.65. May of 2024, this went from $1 to $164 a share in 3 days. That's a gamma squeeze, right? So obviously, I hold the position of FFAI, and just in case, and the off chance something stupid like that happens. And if I believe in GameStop, I think this is actually, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say this is a safer trade because of Robinhood shutting things down, but I do think that this is a trade that people aren't looking at that could potentially yield more gains than GameStop. Low market cap, trading at 81 million or so. But yeah, it's just something to continue to be bullish on. I'm bullish right now, which is wild, but I think I'm bullish on the fact that everyone else is fucked up horribly.
All right. I think that's going to do it for today. That's good. All right. We appreciate those of you who joined us. We'll be back on Wednesday. See what happens with this speech. See what happens with the latest jobs numbers. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. Appreciate those of you who joined us. Stay safe in the markets, and we will see you on Wednesday.
Take care, everyone.